Hi there, it's Michael, another vinyl guy, back with another YouTube video. It's been a little while, and I have discovered something in starting to make videos is that it's not easy. So I'm back giving it another chance, and my hat's off to all those YouTubers out there who are doing this on a regular basis. It's fun, but it's definitely not easy to make these videos and get it right every time, but I'm back. And today I'm gonna go over some vinyl finds from the past couple of months. And these are all ones that I have picked up in person, digging in different record stores. I have picked things up through eBay and Discogs, and I will do that on another video. But I just wanted to go through some of the cool things that I picked up in person. As far as pricing goes, these range from $2 up to about $13. So, pretty good pricing. And so I'm happy with what I've got, and I'm just gonna show off. And I'll start off with this one. This is the first album by the UK band Yachts. And this is really good power pop. I wouldn't say it's essential. It didn't blow me away, but still really good stuff. And if you like your new wave, slightly punkish power pop, this is for you. This is a US copy, and I think this is from 1979 on Radar Records, distributed in the US through Polydor. This is a UK band. This album is a little bit different on the original UK version. It has a different cover, kind of a cooler cover, and a different track listing, but this is pretty solid all the way through, so I've been enjoying that, and this was about $1. It is a white label promo, which is always good, with the original company inner sleeve. So yeah, the Yachts, first album. Next up, we have the Beach Boys, 10 Years of Harmony. Now this is a comp from 1981, covering their brothers' records years. So basically, I think about 1969 or 70 to 1981. And this is something I've had before, but I had to pick it up because I picked up a copy and I didn't know that it came with originally inner sleeves that were printed with lots of liner notes. So when I originally got this, I was like, this is a great comp, but where's all the notes? And so I upgraded to this version. And this is really great stuff. I'm not the hugest Beach Boys fan. They still have a lot of Beach Boys stuff to get, but I really enjoy them, and I especially enjoy this era. It was kind of messy for them with lots of comings and goings as far as personnel. Brian Wilson was kind of there and a lot of the times not there, and they still managed to put together some great stuff, and this is a nice sampler. So happy to get this. It's a gatefold, and you get a current picture of the guys from, I don't know, the early 80s. But yeah, that's a good one. Next up, something I've been getting into this year. Been into Yoko Ono for a while, but getting into even more of her stuff. I have about half of her albums and looking for some more. And so I picked this up for a couple of bucks. This is Every Man Has a Woman. And this is a various artist compilation of different artists doing Yoko's songs in a tribute to her. I need to give it a listen, but there's some pretty cool stuff on here. There's a John Lennon track, Every Man Has a Woman Who Loves Him. And I guess that was something that was originally done as a duet, and then they got rid of all the other vocals, so it comes across as a John Lennon solo track. And you also get Harry Nilsson on here a couple of times. There's Roberta Flack, who was a neighbor of John and Yoko in the Dakota apartment building. Rosanne Cash, Eddie Money, Elvis Costello. So yeah, looking forward to checking this out. Another one, quick 12-inch single. This is Level 42 with Hot Water from 1984, I'm guessing. 84 or 85. Anyways, I'm a huge Level 42 fan. It feels like it wasn't cool to like them for a long while. They were like the epitome of slick 80s Margaret Thatcherite British pop. but I love them, and they were incredible musicians. This is one of my favorite tracks, and I picked this up because it has a 10-minute remix on here of the track Hot Water, which is cool. It also spins at 45 RPM, which most US 12 inches don't do. So this is a nice little pickup. This, to add to my Roxy Music and Associated collection, is Phil Manzanera's 1982 album, Primitive Guitars. This one, unlike his previous solo albums, I don't think it has any vocals on it. It's more kind of instrumental, textures, mood sort of things. He doesn't have a full band on here. And this is pretty cool. I think I need to listen to it a couple more times. His first solo album, Diamond Head from 1975, I think, is one of the best kind of solo debut albums from anybody who was, a member of a band. I just love that album so much. But this has, some very interesting guitar work on it. And I have the other solo albums he put out before then, so wanted to pick this one up. Another pickup, old school. This is a reissue, early 70s, of Steve Miller Band and their Sailor album. And Steve Miller is somebody, always been exposed to him through radio, growing up in the 70s to the early 80s of all the hits, and have gone back and picked up his older albums when I see them cheap. And I gotta say, I always enjoy it. He was, it's not the deepest music, it's not the most impressive music, but I always have a good time when I spin a Steve Miller Band record. And this was one of the late 60s ones, and has some, kind of psych stuff on it. Living in the USA, Gangster of Love, Quicksilver Girl, also a cool track on this. Produced in the UK by Glyn Johns. This isn't the one that Paul McCartney is on playing drums, but it's another early one. Here's another one I picked up. It is The Fall. It is a live show, live 1996, 20th September, Corn Exchange, Kings Lynn, UK. It's a double album on the Let Them Eat vinyl label. I guess this doesn't have the best sound on it, so I don't quite know what I'm in for. I don't have a lot of Fall. It's a band I kind of dip into and dip out of, but for $5, I was going to give this a try, so maybe I'll report back and see how it is. Some nice colorful imagery that reminds me of the artwork on those late 80s, early 90s Fall albums. So yeah, I don't recall a lot of these tracks, but yeah, look forward to giving that a listen. There's another one I picked up. I think I've had this before, but I probably sold it. But this is Harry Nilsson and Son of Schmilsson. It was the follow-up to his big hit album, Nilsson Schmilsson. I don't know if this one was that much of a success. It has the infamous song, You're Breaking My Heart, which was, pretty explicit lyrics for that day. So this one has a US copy from 1972. It's got the gatefold in there. It also has the printed insert and the poster as well. And this image right here on the cover, that was taken at Friar Park, George Harrison's house. So, I don't know if it's the same location and the same, some of the same windows that were in the poster in George Harrison's first album, All Things Must Pass, possibly. But anyways, slowly but surely building up my Nilsson collection. Here's a pickup from a British band, The Stranglers. It's their 1981 album, The Gospel According to the Men in Black. So, The Stranglers here in the US, they never made any of an impact. They're a band I'd heard about and, never really investigated until recently. And so, on the lookout for them now. I got one album earlier through eBay, and so this is my second, well, it's actually my third Stranglers album. And this is a weird one. This one they tried to get experimental, and it's about alien abductions and conspiracies and other odd stuff like that. This is a US copy on Stiff America, and it sounds really great. You don't get the gatefold that you got in the UK on the original Liberty pressing, but the vinyl sounds great. It's a great sounding pressing. And when I was looking at this, I was wondering, you know, where are the liner notes? I mean, there's just this and this on the back, and then I realized, the liner notes are right here on the front cover. But it's a cool album, and, you know, be looking out for more Stranglers as I come across them. From 1976, some jazz rock. This is The 11th House, featuring Larry Coryell and Aspects. Larry Coryell is somebody I, you know, got into, you know, maybe within the past 5, 6, 7 years. Had never really been aware of him, but man, he is a monster guitarist. He is amazing, and this was his jazz rock band in the mid 70s. And this is good stuff. I don't know if this their most highly rated release, but I enjoy it all the way through. There's some funk here, and you know, New York musicians that I definitely recognize as guests. David Sanborn on saxophone, the Brecker brothers on horns, Steve Kahn on guitar. And yeah, so there is some really great you know, instrumental playing on this. If you want to check something out, the first track, Kowloon Jig, is just incredible. It's a really killer track. Just high energy all the way through. Been listening to that song a lot in the past few weeks. Here's another pickup. It is Turtle Soup by the Turtles. This was their last album. It's on the White Whale label. Opening this gatefold, I don't think this has really been opened before. You know, only wants to come this far. So the Turtles are a band that, you know, not super into. I have the album before this, Present the Battle of the Bands, which is kind of cool. This one I've always been interested in because it is produced by Ray Davies of the Kinks, and I'm a huge Kinks fan, so just never, you know, come across it at a cheap price, but this is a lovely copy, so, you know, give this a listen. Now getting into some folk stuff and some UK stuff. We have the very best of Jake Thackeray, and this artist, he's a very wonderful singer-songwriter who was around in the 60s and 70s in the UK. Has a very, you know, his lyrics are hilarious. His voice is great. I know he was influenced a lot by the French chanson style of music, but there's some stuff here that's laugh out loud funny. He's not strictly a you know, a musical comedian, but you know, the songs are you know, will definitely make you smile. And this is a UK press on EMI from the mid 60s. It's got 20 tracks on it, so it's a nice value, and you know, not something you see every day here in the US. More folk. This is Phil Ochs in concert. I think this is the only one of his albums that I didn't have on vinyl. And, you know, happy to pick this up. I think he's a remarkable artist, and I'm really into the kind of Baroque experimental records that he did for A&M in the late 60s. But, you know, this is great stuff, very topical songwriting, and, you know, it's interesting, the back, it's not any of the song lyrics. These are poems by Chairman Mao, which was, you know, that was a kind of an interesting thing to do in the late 60s with, you know, communism and the Vietnam War and everything. And so he prints a lot of Chairman Mao's poems. And at the bottom asks, is this the enemy? So, you know, would somebody do that in this day and age with what we know now? Who knows? Another one real quick. This is Alan Taylor, the American album. Alan Taylor is a British folk singer-songwriter who I'm a big fan of. He's not super well known, but he actually has been covered quite a bit, and he was invited to join Fairport Convention back in the early 70s. They've covered some of his songs. This is not one of my favorite albums from him. It was obviously, he had moved to the US from the UK, signed to the United Artists label, and this was an attempt to, I guess, I don't know, maybe turn him into a James Taylor type singer-songwriter star. He's definitely got that, a similar kind of sweetness to his voice as James Taylor. You know, goes down real easy. But and this has a, you know, a cast of thousands, and it was obviously a big production and not a hit. So I think he's a songwriter. It's definitely worth checking out, but maybe not start with this album. But it does have a couple of good classics, like the song Get Down and the song My Father's Room is very good too. From 1983, we have the Scottish folk singer and songwriter and musician, Dick Gogan. And this is a different kind of love song. Wonderful album. This is a US press on the Advent label. And he's just a really great interpreter and songwriter and musician and singer. One of his later albums, I want to pick up his early stuff, but that's kind of hard to find. It has been out of print, but people are trying to put it back into print. And I recently had a box set that came out. So, you know, hopefully more people learn about him. This one, I don't know if you can see on the inside, the owner stamped it, and they also put one of those last stickers on there, which means they cleaned it with a fancy solution. And I gotta say, this album sounds really good. It's a really nice acoustic cover of the Joe South song, Games People Play, on here. Yeah, not something you'd expect a folk singer to do, but it's a beautiful version. All right, wrapping things up, more folk, and I have two albums from Richard and Mimi Farina. This is an artist that I've been aware of for a long time, mostly because Fairport Convention and Fairport Convention members had covered his songs. And I'd seen it around, always loved the cover, but, you know, finally came across it for a couple of bucks. And wow, is this good? This is some great mid-60s folk rock. You know, if you like those Dylan albums, you know, you got to check this stuff out. Some of it is electric with the bass player from Mountain is on here, pre-Mountain, of course. John Hammond is on here. But the stars of the show are Richard, who sadly passed away not too long after this album was released. And his songs are great. And they cover all kinds of topics. So, you know, you have songs that are upbeat, you have political songs, you have love songs. You know, he's a really talented writer. And he played dulcimer, which gave these albums a very cool sound. And on guitar and vocals was his wife, Mimi Farina, who was also Joan Baez's sister. And yeah, I was blown away by this. I had picked up this one first at the record store and then remembered there was another one. So I ran back to get it the next week, and that is Memories. It's a posthumous album because in 1966, Richard was killed in a motorcycle accident, and this final album came back in 1968. It has The Quiet Joys of Brotherhood, which Sandy Denny did, and a bunch of other great tracks. So yeah, I'm all in on these guys. And just to prove it, when I was at the bookstore, I picked up this book, Positively 4th Street. which is the life and times of Joan Baez, Bob Dylan, Mimi Baez Farina, and Richard Farina. So, you know, they were part of the circle of folk musicians in New York in the mid-60s. And there was a bit of a rivalry. And you could tell from these albums that Richard was a talented enough writer that, you know, Dylan might have been feeling some competition and heat from the guy. So look forward to getting into this. And the final album I picked up, haven't listened to this yet, and this is Kiss Me, Kiss Me, Kiss Me, 1987 from The Cure. Very surprised to come across this. This ended up being $13, and it is a double album. Cure stuff, or original Cure stuff, is hard to find these days. The inner sleeves look nice. The vinyl looks unplayed. And about The Cure, so it's taken me a while to get around to them. You remember their stuff from the 80s, but kind of never really got into it. And maybe some of that was, you know, Robert Smith himself and presentation, the goth thing. And, you know, that wasn't something that really called to me. But, you know, slowly realized that, you know, they are a great band and have had some really killer material. So, you know, didn't expect to pick up an original album, but here it is. And, you know, it's kind of cool as one of my daughters has been playing The Cure in the car. So something I look forward to spinning with her later on. So that's my vinyl pickups. Just want to show another book and some CDs, you know, because I collect all these things too. The other book is The Zapple Diaries, The Rise and Fall of the Last Beatles Label by Barry Miles. So, you know, this is about the whole Apple Records fiasco. I don't know a lot about this book, but I saw it and for $4 was like, you know, should check this out. So, you know, Barry Miles was part of the Beatles circle, friends with Paul McCartney. He wrote a Paul McCartney biography, Blackbird Singing. So I'm sure this will be a well-written book and hopefully learn something new about the Beatles and their label. So that's the book. Finishing off with a couple CDs. You know, always check the CD bins. And these were all $2 pickups. First, we have Absolutely by ABC. This is the greatest hits from 1990. I'm a big fan of ABC, especially their work during the 80s. And so this has all the hits, but the reason I picked it up, because I have most of these songs already, there are 4 bonus remixes at the end, which I don't know if I've ever heard. So for $2, why not? It's got a nice booklet too. Another one for $2. This is Rocky Erickson, True Love Cast Out All Evil with Ockerville River. I am a big Rocky Erickson fan. Just think he was an amazing artist and songwriter. The label that I worked for back in the early 2000s put out a Rocky Erickson compilation, and that's kind of what got me started with him. Troubled artist, but absolutely brilliant. This is a later album, and yeah, look forward to checking this one out. I don't have everything by him, but you know, I have a smattering of stuff from the, you know, 80s and 90s and 2000s. I went to school in Austin, Texas, and you know, he was around to some degree, so you know, learned about him there as well. Finally, we have Tangerine Dream and the Dream Mixes. This is from 1995. And this is a record I've heard about and heard was really good. So happy to come across it and pick it up. This is dance-oriented remixes of Tangerine Dream material. I'm a big fan of these guys, especially their 60s and 70s and early 80s stuff called Virgin. So yeah, look forward to checking this one out. So as you can tell, I have a lot of stuff to listen to. So maybe I'll report back on some of it. And thank you so much. And I will see you later. Bye.